You may have heard the term self-discipline tossed around a lot, but do you actually know what it means? What does it mean to be a disciplined person? Do you struggle to stay focused at work or school? Do you lack motivation? Or maybe you simply lack the discipline to stick to a diet or exercise routine. In this video, I share 9 powerful ways to master self-discipline. Self-discipline is the ability to control one's thoughts and actions. It's the secret behind many successful people, such as CEOs, entrepreneurs, athletes, musicians, artists, writers, and actors. But how do you develop self-discipline? And once you've developed it, how do you keep it? Self-discipline isn't something you're born with. Instead, it's a skill you develop over time. Research suggests that our ability to control our impulses is primarily determined by how we've been raised. But while self-discipline does require effort, there is no reason why we can't become better at controlling our impulses. And once we do, we'll find that we don't need to rely on willpower alone to succeed. Instead, we'll discover that we can use self-discipline to help us make better decisions, avoid temptations, and focus on long-term goals. The secrets of self-discipline: how to become supremely focused. Self-discipline is one of those things we know we ought to do but somehow always put off. We're supposed to exercise regularly, eat healthier, spend less money, read more books, write down our goals, take better care of ourselves. The list goes on and on. And yet, despite all of this, we still fail to live up to our potential. Why? Because we lack self-discipline. The problem isn't just laziness. Our inability to stick to routine stems from something more profound. As psychologist Roy Baumeister explains in his book Willpower, willpower is a limited resource. When you exert too much willpower, you run out of it. As a result, people are often tempted to cheat on diets, skip workouts, or blow their budgets. They don't want to waste their willpower, so they make poor choices because there simply isn't enough left over to resist temptation. But there's another reason why we struggle with self-discipline. It turns out that willpower is a skill that we can improve with practice. Researchers estimate that willpower is a muscle that gets stronger with use. If you've ever tried to stop eating potato chips, you probably found that you had more success the next time. Your ability to control your impulses improves with practice. So does your self-control. Self-discipline is one of the key traits needed to succeed at any task. If you want to achieve something big, you must first learn to set goals, plan out strategies, and stick to them. You should always start with small steps and work towards your goal. Once you reach your goal, you can celebrate your success. But if you fail to accomplish your goal, you should try again until you get it right. To become supremely focused, you need to be able to develop self-discipline. This means that you must be able to stay calm while facing challenges and distractions. For example, when faced with a challenge, you need to think of ways to solve the problem rather than let emotions take over. This way, you can avoid getting distracted and thinking about something else. In short, self-discipline is like anything else. It takes practice. You might think you already have plenty of self-discipline, but chances are you could stand to develop some more. So start today by making a plan. Set aside a certain amount of time each week to focus on improving your self-control. Commit to sticking to your routine. Then reward yourself when you succeed. What is self-discipline? If we want to succeed at something, we must put our minds to it. We need to focus our energy on achieving something rather than allowing ourselves to become distracted by the distractions of life. Self-discipline means having the strength to say no to the temptations of pleasure and comfort and instead saying yes to the opportunities for learning and growth. Self-discipline is a skill that requires practice. As you develop your ability to control yourself, you'll find that there are more and more ways for you to say yes. So keep practicing. It takes time to develop self-discipline because it involves changing your habits. But once you've developed the habit of self-discipline, you'll find that you can apply it to almost any situation. The key to developing self-discipline is ensuring you clearly understand why you want to change. What do you hope to achieve? Once you've answered these questions, you can begin to plan how you'll go about achieving your goal. This planning stage will help you decide which strategies might be most effective. You may also need to consider whether you could benefit from external support such as coaching or mentoring. Finally, you need to set yourself an achievable deadline for when you expect to achieve your goal. You'll force yourself to stick to by setting deadlines and plans. How to build self-discipline. Self-discipline doesn't come naturally to most people, especially those prone to procrastination. But there are ways to build self-discipline into your life, and we're here to help. Here are 9 ways to help you develop discipline. Know where you struggle. We all make mistakes, but knowing where you struggle most often is key to making progress. If you want to become better at something, start by identifying your weak points. Once you have a clear picture of your daily routine, take a moment to think about what you value. For example, is being productive one of your core values? Does spending quality time with friends and family matter to you? Do you want to make a positive impact on the world around you? These questions might help you identify a few areas where you could improve. Now that you understand where you struggle, it's time to figure out how to change your behavior. First, ask yourself, what am I willing to give up? For example, maybe you'd like to stop wasting time on Facebook. Or perhaps you're ready to commit to working out every day. Whatever your goal, write it down. This way, you'll have something tangible to focus on. Finally, once you've figured out what you're willing to sacrifice, it's time to find ways to make changes. For example, you could join a gym, reduce social media, or even consider volunteering. In addition, ask people close to you for advice. They likely have insights into your life that you don't even realize. Put your goals where you can see them every day. If you want to achieve something, you must write it down. And writing down your goals helps you remember them better. So why don't we do it? Why are we still sitting around waiting for life to happen? But what happens if you make a plan? What if you put your goals into action? This is the secret behind many successful people. They know exactly what they want, and they know exactly how to get there. Writing down your goals isn't just about motivation. You'll need an accountability system if you're serious about achieving something. Otherwise, you'll never follow through. So what does this mean for you? Well, you can start by setting up a simple spreadsheet. In one column, list out everything you want to accomplish. Then, on another, list out all the steps you need to take to achieve those goals. Then, each day, check off whatever you've done towards reaching that goal. This is a great way to keep track of your progress and gives you a sense of accomplishment along the way. Plus, it keeps you accountable. You can use your daily checklist to help motivate you throughout the day. For example, say you want to lose weight. At the end of each day, you could jot down, I ate healthy today. Or maybe you want to save money. Then, each night, you could write, I paid my bills on time. As long as you're checking off items, you'll feel like you're making progress. Remind yourself why you started. The hardest part about setting goals is keeping them. We often fall into the trap of letting our dreams slip away because we don't want to do the work required to make them happen. But there's no better motivation than knowing exactly why you started down this path in the first place. And once you know why, you'll never lose sight of your goal again. So, figure out why you want to start taking charge of your health. Was it because you saw someone else do it and thought, I could too? Or maybe you just felt like you had something to prove. Whatever the reason, remember it every single day. Because the truth is that if you truly believe you deserve better health, you'll find a way to get there. Know how you succeed. The best way to achieve success is to do it yourself, which means you have to learn how to fail. Failure is inevitable, but learning from failure is optional. It takes time and effort to create. It won't if you don't put in the time and energy to make it happen. So focus on creating and let go of any fear of failing. We call it creative because it requires us to step out of our comfort zone and embrace the unknown. You may feel uncomfortable starting out, but must push past those feelings and keep going. Don't give up. When you find success, celebrate it and make sure everyone knows about it. Don't get discouraged if you miss an opportunity. There will be plenty more opportunities for you to succeed in the future. Success isn't a destination, it's a journey. Set realistic goals and write it down. Setting realistic goals is the first step to developing self-discipline. If your goals are unrealistic, it's going to be very difficult to stay motivated. Writing down goals helps you see where you want to go, how far you are from achieving those goals, and what obstacles might stand in your way. Writing down our goals makes us think about them differently. We start looking at them from different angles. We ask ourselves questions like, what am I trying to accomplish, and how do I feel about my progress toward reaching my goals? This creates an opportunity to evaluate our current situation and determine what we need to change. The next step is to break down each goal into smaller tasks. Once we've identified the small pieces, we can begin to execute our plan. In addition, by breaking big goals into smaller ones, we make tracking our progress along the way easier. Start small. In my experience, people are often overwhelmed by the idea of overhauling their lives. They think it's too big of a change and doesn't know where to start. If you want to make lasting changes, you must start small. You won't accomplish anything significant unless you begin with something simple. For example, I knew I wanted to eat healthier, so I began by eliminating sugar from my diet. This meant no soda, candy, ice cream, cookies, cakes, etc. After 3 days, I noticed how much better I felt and how easier it was to stick to my plan. I added one healthy food per day: vegetables, fruit, nuts, beans, meat, fish, eggs, cheese, yogurt, etc. I recommend starting with a single habit because it makes it easy to see immediate benefits. Don't try to do everything at once. Instead, focus on making one positive change per week. Once you achieve that goal, move on to the next one. You can use this same strategy to improve your health, save money, lose weight, become more organized, read more books, exercise more frequently, spend less time watching TV, stop procrastinating, learn a language, write down your goals, etc. Know your weaknesses. If you want to know how to improve your life, start figuring out what makes you weak. Do you procrastinate? Are you easily distracted? Is there something about yourself that you don't like? Once you've determined those things, you'll be able to figure out ways to overcome them. For example, if you know you tend to procrastinate, you could try getting up early every day, even if you're tired. On the other hand, maybe you avoid social media because you feel anxious around people. In either case, once you identify the weakness, you can find a way to attack it. Self-discipline is one of those things we tend to take for granted. We don't think about it much because we've always had it. But what happens when we lose our ability to control ourselves? What happens when we let our weakness become an addiction? When we rely too heavily on them, they begin to rule us rather than the other way around. And once we've fallen into that trap, there are no easy ways out. The good news is that we do have a choice. We can either continue to live according to our weaknesses or learn to overcome them. Moreover, it's possible to use our weaknesses to our advantage. Understanding where our weaknesses lie, we can figure out how to turn them into strengths. Make room for moments of positivity. Positive emotions are often seen as fleeting experiences, like laughter or joy. But research suggests we can experience positive emotions throughout our lives without ever having to feel happy or excited again. Some say they don't even know how to feel happiness anymore because they haven't experienced it in such a long time. So what does it take to get there? Park says several strategies can help us become happier. One is to find ways to cultivate positive emotions daily. She recommends taking 10 minutes each morning to do something that makes you smile. It could be reading a book, doing yoga, meditating, listening to music, calling someone you love, or writing down 3 things you're grateful for. Another strategy involves finding ways to connect with others. In one study, researchers asked participants to write about a specific person who had helped them feel better over the previous week. They found that those who wrote about people who had supported them felt less lonely, depressed, and anxious. The final strategy involves changing your environment. For example, you might move into a new apartment where you see lots of natural light, or change your workout routine to incorporate activities you enjoy. You could also try to avoid negative situations that trigger stress, such as arguments with family members. Visualize your outcome. If you're having trouble getting motivated, visualizing success might help. A recent study found that imagining yourself reaching your goal increases your chances of achieving it. In one experiment, researchers asked people to visualize themselves succeeding at a task. They found that those who did so were more likely to achieve it. The same goes for negative thoughts. Imagining failure makes us feel worse about ourselves, making it harder to move forward. By contrast, thinking positively about what we want helps boost our confidence and motivation. Positive visualization boosts self-esteem, too. In another experiment, researchers had participants perform a simple memory test. Some imagined how good they felt during the trial, some thought about how well they performed, and others simply recalled how they felt. Again, those who visualized their successes scored better on the test. Increased resilience. Resilience is a muscle that we must all exercise regularly. We should all learn to embrace the discomfort of change and uncertainty because it improves our ability to cope with any situation. The more we practice embracing uncomfortable situations, the stronger our resilience becomes. Resilient people thrive under pressure, while those who lack resilience often suffer when faced with complex challenges. Think back to times when you've been stressed out. What did you do? Did you find yourself feeling anxious? Did you feel like giving up? Or did you make a conscious effort to push past these feelings? You have developed some resilience if you answered yes to either of these questions. Developing resilience requires us to face adversity head-on rather than run away from it. To become more resilient, we must repeatedly put ourselves in challenging situations. This means facing rejection, failure, criticism, and even ridicule. But, by practicing these skills, you'll develop the strength to handle whatever life throws at you. Resilience is not just about surviving tough times, it's also about thriving despite challenges. It's about finding ways to bounce back from adversity. Resilient people have developed strategies for dealing with difficult circumstances, using these skills to build confidence and move forward. They know that setbacks are inevitable, but they don't let this stop them from achieving their goals. They believe that if they keep going, eventually, success will come. And when it does, they're ready because they've built strong resilience muscles.